Welcome back to Learning Unity with the 3D Game Kit. In today's tutorial, we're going to be working with a simple rotation component to create some dynamic rotating platforms that can do some fun stuff. So we're going to take a look at how we can set these up, how we can maybe add triggers like pressure pads to make them move, to add more interactive elements to your level, and just give you more tools to work with. So this will allow you to bring some extra action to your game. So let's go ahead and dive in and take a look. The first thing I want to do is kind of set up a scenario. I'm going to disable my nav mesh here so we don't see it. And this little guy here, he's not too big of a surprise. So we're going to move him up into the air, which sounds kind of weird. But let's see if we can't drop this onto our player if they choose to go down this road. So we'll make this a trap boss. So let's come in here to our 3D Game Kit, into our prefabs. We're going to go ahead and grab an environmental structure here and just grab one of these platforms. So let me double check that it has a bottom to it. Some of these don't. It does not. I wonder if any of these do. Of all things, the big blocky structure does. I guess that's so you can crash it to the ground. I'm just going to stretch this guy, not really worried about it. We're going to place it over here. Doesn't look great, but doesn't have to, because we're just creating a little demo setup, right? So let's place that guy there. We're going to give him a bit more room to kind of just hang out on and be chilling. And place him right there on that platform. Let me turn off gizmos so I can see the placement a bit better. Don't want them clipping into the wall. Something like that. Give them a little bit of room. Unfortunately, this platform does not look great scaled, but that's okay. Doesn't need to. Okay, so what are we doing with this thing? We are going to take a look at a rotator script that is built in here. What we're going to do is on this platform, we're going to go to Add Component and just look for Simple, and you'll see we have a Simple Rotator, Simple Translator. Now, these are kind of the same thing. In this case, we're going to do a Simple Rotator, and what this will do is it will actually access the transform information and allow us to rotate this. So the idea is we're going to drop this boss down and surprise our player. So what we want to take a look here is on the interaction type. We could set this to activate, so it needs to be activated. We could set it to one shot. For loop, we're not going to loop, we're just going to do it once. And that is pretty much it. Now, down here, you can see the axes that we can rotate on. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and I think, let's see, I either want to rotate an X or Y, or maybe even both. I don't know. But we could go ahead and place this how we want to, have this set up. So, for example, we'll just go ahead and take 90 in X. So we'll just go X, input 1, and then 0 and Z. That's going to indicate which one is getting rotated, and you can see here end is going to be 90. So what we're going to do to make a trigger is we're going to cheat a little bit, and we're going to come down here into our prefabs, into our interactables, and we are going to bring in a pressure switch. So I'm going to bring in the one without visual effects now that I think about it. That's this one here. And we're going to place it into this area. And if we want to, we could make this nice and big. Doesn't really matter too much. And what we're going to do is we're basically going to make this invisible. We could come in here and we could come under the geometry section in the model itself under the pressure pad, and we could disable these. So if I just straight up disable these, their colliders won't be there, the geometry won't be there. So what I end up with on the top part is just the actual trigger here. And if I turn on my gizmos, we should see the box collider here. Now I might have to play around with this. I might actually just leave them visible for now for the purpose of testing so I can make sure that it's actually working. But we can use this send on trigger tool here to activate our platform. So what we're going to do is just come to our send on trigger enter here. We're going to drag in our wall ×2 here, our platform, then we're going to set this to activate. So that should be set to activate. Let's set it to one shot, and that should be good. We do need to make sure the player is the one interacting. So yeah, let's see if it works. So now if I run over there, we take our secret platform. If we don't die due to lagging out, this should trigger that platform. Well, it sort of worked. There's a few things we're missing. So what happened there? First off, I might need to move the enemy to just kind of be floating in space in general so he doesn't get stuck on the wall. The other thing is you notice the chomper fell, but didn't actually fall. So what happened there? Well, if you click on this object here, you're going to notice something very important, which is it is set to static. Now, this is something we haven't talked about, but inside of Unity, to make it so things can be rendered easier, things that don't need to be moved can be set to static, and that allows the lights to actually be baked into it. What it also means is that it doesn't move. That's the idea behind static. So if I go ahead and uncheck static, what that will do is make it so it can rotate, and we will switch that to the children as well. That's everything underneath here. And now when I step on this trigger, that should cause this to rotate and fall. So let's go ahead and give this a test again and see if our boss trap is working. Whoop. Oops. All right, let's try that again. I told you I'm terrible at jumping games. I didn't even know this character could do a barrel roll like that. That's interesting. All right, so there's our big glowy target. We're going to run onto it, and there you go. Our boss gets dropped on top of us, and now we're stuck fighting a boss who doesn't know what to do because we haven't updated his nav mesh. So what can we do to make this a little bit more interesting? Well, first off, let's go ahead and make this platform higher so the player doesn't see it coming at all, and take our boss here and kind of just keep him where he is at. So let me go ahead and grab that chomper, and we will make sure he is nicely on the platform. And then to make it a surprise, let's try turning this off. So remember, I mentioned we could come into here and just deactivate the geometry. And by deactivating the geometry, we should deactivate everything that we need. We can also turn off the audio source in here. We don't need that audio source coming from this. And that should be fine. Everything else should be good. So that should give me an invisible trap that's going to drop that boss on me. Now, while I'm at it, let's turn our nav mesh back on so the enemies can move. Let's go ahead and rebake it for these new services and hit play. All right, so now if I run into here, we should have an invisible boss drop on our head. And there it is! Surprise! All right, that was horrifying. Cool. So there you go. That's using some new methods of approaching things. So we did a couple new things here. We took a look at that rotation script here. And remember, there is a translation script as well. So you can try out the simple translate script, and you can use these to move anything you like. It doesn't matter if it's platforms, walls, doors, objects, really just about anything. You can have some fun with it and see what you could create. Go ahead and experiment. See if you can set up some cool scenarios, kind of like I did, dropping a boss or some sort of a monster on your player. And have fun. See what you can come up with. That's going to conclude this video on setting up the rotating platforms and using hidden triggers in Unity. So you've learned how to do some cool stuff here. It's all adding up. Hopefully you can make a pretty cool system in your level, add some new features. If you like this video and want to see more, make sure you like the video, drop something down in the comments, let me know if you came up with a cool idea, and be sure to hit that subscribe button so the next video in the series that comes out, you will be able to catch as it is released. Thank you for watching, and happy developing.